Did you know that some of Hollywood's brightest stars ended up behind bars for crimes that shocked the entertainment world? From beloved television personalities to award-winning actresses, their falls from grace were nothing short of spectacular. These 15 women went from red carpet glamour to prison cells in ways that left fans stunned and the industry reeling. Buckle up, because these stories are darker than you ever imagined. Number 1. Allison Mack. She was the girl next door of primetime television, the loyal friend everyone rooted for on screen. Allison Mack rose to fame playing Chloe Sullivan on Smallville, a role that made her a household name and won her millions of devoted fans worldwide. For a decade, she was Superman's best friend on the hit CW series, and fans believed she had a brilliant future ahead in Hollywood. But beneath that wholesome image, a darker story was unfolding in the shadows. Mack became entangled with Nex IVM, a so-called self-help organization that operated like a cult. She didn't just attend their workshops, she became a recruiter, manipulating women into joining secret circles and subjecting them to degrading rituals while promoting them as empowerment seminars. In 2018, federal agents arrested her at her Brooklyn home in handcuffs as news cameras rolled. She was charged with racketeering and conspiracy for her role in trafficking and manipulating vulnerable women. Prosecutors revealed that Mack actively recruited members for the organization's inner circle, convinced them to surrender money in obedience, and participated in psychological manipulation tactics. Initially, Mack pleaded not guilty, but as the trial unfolded and evidence mounted, she changed her plea to guilty in April 2019. She admitted in court to her crimes and expressed remorse, though critics questioned the sincerity of her apology. In June 2021, the judge sentenced her to 3 years in federal prison plus substantial fines and community service obligations. The Smallville actress who once embodied goodness was now infamous for helping run a predatory organization. Her imprisonment marked one of television's biggest betrayals of fan trust. Today, her name is synonymous with cult manipulation. Number 2. Amy Locane. In 1992, Amy Locane appeared in School Ties alongside future superstars like Brendan Fraser and Matt Damon, launching what seemed like a promising acting career. She landed a regular role on the hit primetime soap opera Melrose Place, playing the memorable Sandy Harling in the show's crucial first season. With her talent and television exposure, Locane seemed destined for major stardom in Hollywood. Her career trajectory looked unstoppable as she juggled film and television opportunities throughout the 90s. But one terrible night in 2010 derailed everything. Locane attended a party celebrating a theater production she had performed in, and she consumed significant amounts of alcohol before getting behind the wheel of her car. Intoxicated and impaired, she rear-ended a Honda stopped at a red light, then panicked and drove away from the scene. The driver of the Honda followed her in pursuit as she sped through neighborhood streets. Locane's vehicle crashed directly into another car driven by Fred and Helen Seaman, an elderly couple turning into their driveway. Fred survived with serious injuries, but Helen Seaman died from the impact. Tests revealed that Locane had a blood alcohol level 3 times the legal limit. In 2012, she was convicted of vehicular manslaughter and sentenced to 3 years in prison. After her release in 2015, everyone thought her nightmare had ended. Then, a shocking development occurred. In 2019, a higher court determined her original sentence was too lenient and resentenced her to an additional 8 years. The actress faced double punishment for a single terrible mistake. Her imprisonment represented one of television's most striking falls, a cautionary tale about drunk driving and its irreversible consequences. Number 3. Tammy Sitch. The 90s wrestling world knew her as Sunny, the blonde bombshell who became the most downloaded woman on AOL during the internet's early days. Tammy Sitch rose from managing wrestlers in the WWF to becoming a major personality herself, crossing over into mainstream pop culture and music. She was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011, cementing her legendary status in professional wrestling history. Fans loved her personality, her interviews, and her presence on television every week. But behind the glamorous wrestling persona Sitch struggled with substance abuse issues that haunted her for decades. She faced multiple arrests for driving under the influence, losing her license several times as authorities repeatedly warned her about her dangerous behavior. The warnings went unheeded. On March 25, 2022, Sitch was driving in Florida when her vehicle collided with another car at high speed. The impact was catastrophic. A 75-year-old man named Julian Lesser, a grandfather and retired grandfather, died from his injuries. Authorities conducted toxicology tests and discovered both alcohol and cannabis in her system at dangerous levels. State prosecutors said Sitch's history of drunk driving was horrendous and that her arrest was inevitable. She had proven that warnings meant nothing to her. She was arrested and charged with manslaughter and driving under the influence causing death. In November 2023, the court sentenced Sitch to 17 years in prison. The woman who once dominated wrestling television now faced nearly 2 decades behind bars. Her fall represented wrestling's darkest chapter and a family's irreplaceable loss. Number 4. R. Kelly. When people think of 90s R&B royalty, R. Kelly's name demands serious consideration in the conversation about the era's greatest musicians. He produced monster hits like Bump and Grind and I Believe I Can, Fly, songs that became generational anthems and defined the sound of the decade. His influence stretched across radio, music videos, and countless collaborations with other major artists. By the late 90s, Kelly stood as one of the most commercially successful artists in music history with Grammy Awards and platinum records. But underneath his celebrity, allegations of inappropriate behavior with minors haunted his career. In 2002, he was charged after videos depicting despicable acts surfaced, but prosecutors declined to pursue the case, citing insufficient evidence. The scandal never truly disappeared, though. Years later, the 2019 documentary Surviving R. Kelly brought mainstream attention to accusations from dozens of women who described years of manipulation and abuse. New investigations followed and additional charges multiplied. In 2022, a federal court convicted Kelly of racketeering and conspiracy for operating a criminal enterprise involving trafficking of vulnerable women and girls. The judge sentenced him to 30 years in federal prison. A year later, another court handed down a 20-year sentence for separate convictions involving inappropriate conduct and possession of vile material. Though the sentences ran concurrently for a combined 31 years, Kelly's legacy shifted permanently from musical innovation to criminal predation. His imprisonment marked one of music's most devastating falls from grace. Number 5. Suge Knight. Suge Knight's name is forever linked with gangster rap and the golden age of Death Row Records, the label that shaped hip-hop's direction and released some of the era's greatest albums. Under Knight's leadership, Dr. Dre produced The Chronic and Tupac recorded All Eyes on Me, defining the 90s rap sound entirely. But Knight was never far from controversy. He constantly battled rivals and faced multiple criminal investigations, including questions about his alleged involvement in the death of the notorious B.I.G. Despite numerous brushes with the law, he always seemed to escape serious consequences. In 2015, everything changed. Security footage captured Knight reversing his truck into rival Cleabone Sloan outside a studio, then accelerating directly into record label owner Terry Carter, who died from his injuries 2 years later. Knight was arrested and faced severe charges. During interrogations, he was also indicted for allegedly sending death threats to Straight Outta Compton director F. Gary Gray. In 2018, the death threat charges were dropped as part of a plea deal. However, Knight received a staggering 28-year prison sentence for the vehicular manslaughter conviction, with an additional 6 years added because this was his third strike under California law. The hip-hop mogul who once ran one of music's most powerful labels now sits in a California prison cell. His imprisonment represents the downfall of one of rap's most controversial figures and a cautionary tale about violence and power in the music industry. Number 6. Danny Masterson. Danny Masterson became a cultural icon playing Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show, the sitcom that launched 1,000 catchphrases and became a defining television series of the late 90s. For 8 seasons, audiences loved his rebellious stoner character and his perfect comedic timing. The show spawned countless memes, quotes, and cultural moments that lasted decades. Masterson seemed destined for major film roles and sustained television stardom. Then allegations emerged that shattered his carefully constructed public image. In 2017, the Los Angeles Police Department began investigating claims from 3 women who accused Masterson of assault involving incidents from the early 2000s. The Church of Scientology, which Masterson belonged to, allegedly attempted to suppress and bury the allegations against him. In 2020, Masterson finally faced formal criminal charges related to the assault accusations. The trial became a media sensation with courtroom spectators and endless news coverage. Prosecutors presented compelling testimony from multiple women describing detailed accounts of abuse. Masterson's defense team attempted to discredit the accusers and argue consent, but the evidence proved overwhelming. In 2023, the jury found him guilty of the assault of 2 women and recommended a 30-year prison sentence. His longtime wife, Bijou Phillips, filed for divorce immediately following his conviction, an action that proved crucial when Masterson's attorneys requested bail pending appeals. The judge denied bail, citing Masterson as a serious flight risk given his wealth and resources. That 70s show later rebooted as That 90s Show in 2023, but Masterson's character notably disappeared from the revival. His absence reminded everyone of his crimes. Number 7. Joe Sun. Joe Sun became famous for one brief but memorable film role in 1997's Austin Powers International Man of Mystery, where he portrayed Random Task, the henchman who threw bowler hats as weapons. While not a lead role, the character became genuinely iconic and spawned countless pop culture references and parodies that lasted for decades. Sun had appeared in 80s and 90s action films like Bad Blood and Blood Fist before Austin Powers elevated his profile. Audiences loved the absurdity of his character and his comedic timing opposite Mike Myers. But behind the laughs, a sinister history was unfolding. In 2008, Sun was arrested for felony vandalism and received 60 days in jail. After violating probation, he faced an additional 90 days behind bars. As part of a plea deal, authorities required a DNA sample from Sun. That DNA sample would link him to a horrific crime from Christmas Eve 1990, a crime that had remained unsolved for over 2 decades. In 2011, Sun was convicted of rape and torture involving an unnamed woman from that 1990 incident and received a staggering sentence of 17 years and 4 months. His crimes didn't end there, though. In 2017, while incarcerated, Sun brutally beat his cellmate Michael Graham to death in a prison attack. For this additional murder, he received a 27-year sentence. The actor remembered for a silly throwaway film role became remembered instead for multiple violent felonies spanning decades. His imprisonment represents one of Hollywood's most complete destructions of reputation and the darkest version of comeuppance. Number 8. Patty Hearst. Patty Hearst was born into America's most powerful newspaper dynasty, the Hearst family, whose fortune and influence shaped American media for generations. Her grandfather, William Randolph Hearst, built an empire that controlled newspapers across the country, making the family name synonymous with wealth and power. Patty seemed destined to inherit that privilege and continue her family's legacy of influence and prominence. In 1974, her life changed catastrophically. Members of the Symbionese Liberation Army kidnapped her in one of the era's most shocking abductions. For months, she was held captive, brainwashed, and allegedly coerced into joining her captors' revolutionary cause. Then, shockingly, she participated in an armed bank robbery, wielding weapons and acting as a lookout while her captors robbed the bank. When authorities captured her, she was convicted of armed robbery despite her claim that she had been coerced and brainwashed by her captors. The public and legal system remained divided about her culpability. Did she deserve imprisonment for crimes committed under duress and psychological manipulation, or was she a willing participant in criminality? She served about 2 years in prison before President Jimmy Carter commuted her sentence, a move that satisfied no one completely. Her case became a pivotal moment in American justice, raising profound questions about coercion, criminality, and responsibility. Number 9. Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding became one of figure skating's biggest stars in the early 90s, known for her incredible athletic abilities and her controversial public persona. She was the first American woman to land a triple axel in competition, a technical achievement that impressed skating experts worldwide. Her skating ability was undeniable, but her behavior off the ice created endless controversy. In 1994, Harding's rival Nancy Kerrigan was attacked and injured by assailants in a shocking incident that shocked the sports world. Investigations revealed that Harding had allegedly orchestrated or participated in planning the attack to eliminate her competition. Though the exact details remain disputed and contested, public opinion overwhelmingly turned against Harding. She was banned from competitive figure skating for life, an exile that ended her athletic career permanently. The scandal made Harding infamous, but her legal troubles extended far beyond the skating rink. She faced multiple arrests for assault, domestic violence, and other criminal charges throughout the 90s and beyond. In 2010, Harding was arrested for violating her probation and faced jail time. Her fall from grace was complete. Once a celebrated athlete, she became synonymous with betrayal and criminality. Her story represented one of sport's biggest scandals. Number 10. Nicole Brown Simpson. Nicole Brown Simpson's story is one of Hollywood's most tragic chapters, a tale of a beautiful woman who became entangled with a legendary athlete whose jealousy and rage spiraled into uncontrollable violence. She was romantically connected to O.J. Simpson, the Hall of Fame running back turned television personality and actor. Their relationship began glamorously but deteriorated into a pattern of violence and control. Simpson became the victim of brutal attacks and physical abuse as O.J.'s jealousy and possessiveness escalated. She documented the abuse and sought help, but ultimately, the violence proved fatal. In June 1994, Nicole was found murdered in her Los Angeles home in one of the decade's most shocking crimes. O.J. Simpson was arrested and charged with her murder. The subsequent trial became America's obsession, a media phenomenon that consumed public attention for months. Though O.J. was acquitted in criminal court, the case haunted public consciousness. Years later, O.J. faced other criminal charges and spent significant prison time. Nicole's death remains one of Hollywood's greatest tragedies and a stark reminder of domestic violence's dangers. Number 11. Martha Stewart. Martha Stewart built an empire on home decor, cooking, and lifestyle advice, becoming a cultural icon whose name was synonymous with elegance and domesticity. Her television shows, books, and product lines made her one of America's most recognizable personalities. Stewart seemed invulnerable, her reputation built on perfection and refinement. In the early 2000s, federal investigators launched an insider trading investigation into Stewart's sale of her ImClone system stock. Prosecutors alleged that Stewart had sold the stock based on non-public information, profiting from advanced knowledge that bad news was forthcoming. Stewart maintained her innocence, but prosecutors built a strong case against her. The jury found her guilty of conspiracy and obstruction of justice in 2004. Remarkably, she was acquitted on the securities fraud charges themselves. Stewart received a 5-month prison sentence at a minimum security facility, a punishment that seemed light compared to other white-collar criminals. She served her sentence at Alderson Federal Prison Camp in West Virginia. Her imprisonment was shocking precisely because of her status and prominence. Martha Stewart recovered from her sentence and rebuilt her empire, eventually returning to television and reclaiming her position as a lifestyle icon. Her story illustrates how even the most powerful and prominent figures must face legal consequences for their actions. Number 12. Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay Lohan burst onto Hollywood screens as a child star in the original Parent Trap, charming audiences with her dual role playing twin sisters separated at birth. She became a major teen idol, starring in hit films like Mean Girls, where her performance made her one of the decade's breakout stars. Every studio wanted to work with her, and she seemed destined for superstardom. But Lohan's personal life spiraled downward tragically. She struggled with substance abuse issues that worsened throughout her 20s. Multiple arrests followed, beginning with driving under the influence charges in 2007. She was arrested again and again, cycling through rehabilitation facilities and courtrooms repeatedly. In 2011, Lohan pleaded no contest to reckless driving and misdemeanor drug possession charges. The judge sentenced her to 90 days in jail, a sentence that shocked the entertainment industry given her star status. She served her time at the Century Regional Detention Facility in Linwood, California. The former teen idol who once commanded $20 million film salaries now wore an orange jumpsuit in county jail. Her imprisonment represented one of Hollywood's saddest downfalls, a bright star extinguished by personal demons and destructive behaviors. Number 13. Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder was one of the 90s most celebrated actresses, starring in iconic films like Heathers, Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands. She was nominated for Academy Awards and worked with legendary directors like Martin Scorsese and Francis Ford Coppola. Her talent seemed boundless, and her career trajectory looked unstoppable. In December 2001, Ryder was arrested at a Beverly Hills boutique after security caught her shoplifting merchandise valued at approximately $5,000. The arrest shocked the entertainment industry given her wealth and prominence. Why would someone worth millions steal clothing? The incident damaged her reputation severely. She was convicted of grand theft in 2002 and received probation along with community service requirements. Though she avoided jail time, her career momentum stalled dramatically. Major film roles disappeared as studios distanced themselves from her. Ryder eventually rehabilitated her reputation and returned to acting through television work and smaller independent films. Her shoplifting conviction illustrated that no one was above the law, regardless of wealth or fame. The 90s darling became a cautionary tale about how quickly reputation could collapse. Number 14. Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear became a television sensation through the wildly popular series Dynasty, playing the conniving Sammy Jo Carrington in one of the decade's most prestigious and glamorous shows. She transitioned seamlessly to Melrose Place, where she played the powerful businesswoman Amanda Woodward. In another hit primetime drama, Locklear became the face of high-fashion television, known for her stunning beauty and compelling performances. Her career seemed to have no ceiling, with lucrative contracts and prestigious roles constantly offered to her. But Locklear's personal life deteriorated as she struggled with anxiety and substance abuse issues. Between 2008 and 2018, she faced multiple arrests for driving under the influence and battery charges. In 2020, Locklear was arrested again on domestic violence charges following an alleged altercation with her then-boyfriend. She pleaded no contest to battery and received probation. Though she avoided significant prison time, her career suffered tremendously. Television roles disappeared and her reputation was damaged. The Dynasty star who embodied glamour and power became defined by her legal troubles and personal struggles. Number 15. Erika Jayne. Erika Jayne became famous as a cast member on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reality television series, known for her glamorous lifestyle and her marriage to high-powered attorney Tom Girardi. She lived an extravagant life featuring luxury cars, massive mansions, and unlimited spending. Her appearances on the show made her one of reality television's most recognizable personalities, with millions of devoted fans following her lifestyle choices. In 2021, Erika's world collapsed when federal prosecutors arrested her husband Tom Girardi on charges of embezzlement and fraud. Investigators alleged that Girardi had stolen millions from his law firm's client trust accounts, money intended for accident victims. As Erika's husband's crimes unfolded publicly, questions emerged about what she knew regarding the stolen funds. Erika denied knowledge of her husband's crimes and cooperated with investigators. Though she was never charged with crimes herself, her reputation suffered enormously. The luxury lifestyle she had displayed was financed partially by stolen money from accident victims and their families. Federal authorities began seizing her assets and property as part of civil recovery efforts. Though Erika avoided criminal prosecution, her imprisonment came in a different form as her wealth was stripped away and her lifestyle dismantled. Her story illustrated how closely intertwined wealth and criminality could become. These 15 women showed the world that nobody is untouchable, no matter how bright the spotlight or how far they've climbed in Hollywood. From television icons to chart-topping performers, from reality stars to household names, their falls from grace were nothing short of spectacular. Their sentences ranged from a few years to decades behind bars, their crimes ranging from violence to financial fraud to abuse of power. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these stories shocked you the most. Was there a case you thought was too harsh a punishment? Or do you think some of these actresses didn't serve nearly enough time? Which Hollywood scandal do you think deserves another deep dive? Comment below and let's start a conversation. Because clearly, the celebrity world has plenty of dark secrets waiting to be exposed.